devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. One who follows the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, as it is imparted by the Lord, the personality of God in itself, becomes free from all doubts by the grace of transcendental knowledge. He, as part and parcel of the Lord, full Krishna consciousness, is already established in self-knowledge. As such, he is undoubtedly above bondage to action. Yoga sannyasta karmanam jnana samchina samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibbazanti sanadhyaya. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. So, in the previous few verses, we find Krishna at the speaking about those who are bound by faithlessness and doubtfulness. When one is bound by faithfulness and doubtfulness, he's not able to surrender to the supreme personality of God. One must actually become free from all faithlessness by actually learning what is his transcendental science. Then he will be freed from all doubting as well. He will also not want to doubt anymore, but will want to surrender to the supreme personality of God. When one is actually situated in transcendental knowledge, at that time, he's factually situated in himself. That means, when he's actually got this transcendental knowledge, when he actually knows what is right, he knows how to act, he knows what is to be done and what not to be done, he knows when surrender is required, he knows when he has to conquer over the material energy that is attacking him, he knows this is not himself, but that is Maya. He knows all these things. So, when he knows all of these things, then he has factual realization of himself. The one whose mind is controlled, whose soul is already reached. Whereby the simple fact that one has actually come to the platform of peacefulness, is situated in transcendental knowledge, which means he's already understood himself. So, the person who has factually realized himself is not bound by the reactions of his work. Although he's always acting, he's never bound by the reactions. Although always working, he actually does nothing at all. Because he knows that it is the material energy, known as nature, that is causing all things to take place under his desire. And he knows that ultimately he is simply the observer of all actions which are in actuality carried out by nature. I simply desire, and things take place. Man proposes, God disposes. According to my desire, I am placed in all kinds of situations. And according to my desire, I may get out of those situations too. But the Lord simply fulfills everybody's desires, which have been innumerable. Living entities have innumerable desires since time immemorial. And Krishna is always satisfied. Material nature also satisfies our desires by giving us that particular body that we want in order to live that way we like. And because of this, whenever we acted in the material world with such ignorance, we were always bound by the results of our work, because we considered ourselves the doer therefore we fell into the illusion and were bound by illusion again and again. Whereas one who knows factually the truth about this material world, he's never bound, because he knows what's the actor. He knows how he's bound up in his body, and he never is bewildered like that. He's bound up in his body, in his mind. So, a real devotee knows that these things are all part of the phantasmagoria of material nature, all these attachments. Therefore, he pays no attention to these things, and he's only attached to Krishna. Therefore, all of his work merges in transcendence. In other words, he's never bound by the reactions of work. Work never binds him, because he is not a worker in the material world. First of all, he knows it is not his to enjoy the material world. The fruits of his actions are not his to enjoy. These things, they all belong to Krishna. Therefore, he never tries to enjoy this material world like that, by usurping the material energy to become the enjoyer. Therefore, he always works with Krishna. Therefore, he's never bound in the material nature, because he's always working with it. And you just work for the sake of that Supreme Person. Then one is liberated from all entanglements in the material. So we find that working for Krishna is not only not developing reactions. Working for Krishna creates no reaction, but it frees one from all reactions. It frees one from having to create reaction, and it frees one from past reactions too. It's so pure. All reactions of work are burnt up in the fire of the knowledge of the one who is in transcendental consciousness. If you are in transcendental consciousness, your knowledge just burns up all the sinful reactions, just like a fire consumes wood. Fires just burn up. If it's a good fire and it's really going strong, it can burn up unlimited quantities of wood. We've seen good forest fire. It can burn down a whole forest of wood, no problem. Similarly, if one creates a blazing fire of devotional service, then one can burn up unlimited amounts of sinful reactions without any problem. And that blazing fire of transcendental knowledge, all the reactions of this work of bound are free to burn. All the reactions of this work are burned up. That includes the a priori and a posteriori kind of reactions. Those reactions which have not yet come to the surface, and those reactions which have already manifested. There are so many reactions. First, there is the reaction in the seed. The reaction which is situated in the heart. The reaction where we desire, I want to perform some simple activity. Then kutastha, the next stage. The reaction which is already about to surface. In other words, we are going from the desire platform to the platform of activity. And phalanmukha, the reaction which has manifested as a reaction. It is now coming, just now coming, hitting you on the head. And prarabdha, the actions which are already past. For instance, we're already born. We already have our bodies. And these reactions have already passed. We are living them right now. Therefore, you can't do anything about those. The Guru, he will take away all reactions, but not the prarabdha. This doesn't mean when you become initiated that all of a sudden you can throw your glasses away because now your vision is broken. That all your fillings in your teeth just fall out and your teeth become strong again. The missing teeth, they over. All the reactions that one has, he has because he's supposed to have them from previous arrangements. Therefore, they stay. They're already manifest. The eyes are already bad, the teeth are already bad, whatever. So there you cannot do anything about it. But the ones that are just about to manifest, they are wiped away, all that reaction. But the Krishna allows some of our karma to filter through to enable us to learn from it and surrender to it. Actually, Baladev Bhushan speaks about this. Why is it that when a devotee becomes liberated, he doesn't just drop the body and go back to the spiritual sky? Because when he's liberated, there are no more reactions. Therefore, there's no karma. You can't stay here. There's no karma, and your desire is to go back to Godhead. And there's no reason to stay in the material world. You should immediately go and drop the body and go back to God. But this doesn't happen. We see it practically. Why? It doesn't happen because Krishna wants that those who are liberated stay on this planet at least during their lifetime and preach to others. Or if every time somebody became liberated, boom, he dropped the body, went back to Godhead, there'd be nobody left to preach. Nobody else would find out about it because all the liberated souls who you're supposed to follow are already back to God. Therefore, we find in the Veda that it is so arranged that the liberated soul will remain here for some time, at least for the supposed duration of life, and preach to others so they also can become liberated souls. Perfect arrangement. But as far as the rest of us, we are still playing around with these various stages of reaction, which is the seed-like state, the state at which the sinful reaction is developing, the state at which the sinful reaction is manifesting, and of course that stage at which we're continuing to suffer that which we formerly acquired. So all in all, there's quite a few varieties of sinful reactions. They're like seeds. But this process of devotional service is frying those seeds. You know, if you take a seed and just throw it away or don't water it for some time, well, it may not make a plant. But as soon as you put water again on the seed will grow. It's just lying dormant, just waiting for some water. When the water comes, the seed grows. So, therefore, just not watering the seeds of sinful desire is not sufficient for finishing up the sinful reaction. One must fry the seeds and eat. Then they can never grow. A fried seed can never make a plant. And it's finished. So, we fry the seeds of sinful desire in the burning fire of devotional service. That's how we finish off the seed in the heart. Although, there's the hard knot in the heart. That's different than the seed. Knot means the knot of lust, which keeps us wrapped up in the material world all the time. Everybody's very lusty for enjoying the material world. Therefore, the knot in the heart, tight. And if you know what it's like to take out a complicated knot that's pulled very, very tight, it allows you to pull it tight, and then it expands a little bit. It's very hard to undo this knot. It's very difficult. Spend hours taking out the knot. What to speak of the knot in the heart, which is so common. So many desires wrapped all around, just tight, lust is tightly pulling the heart. Not very tight. Tight lust, pulling. So in the heart, there's all that hard knot before. hard knot within the heart cannot be loosened by any amount of work, by any amount of skill, by any amount of knowledge. Therefore, those who are simply scholars in this material world, Vedic scholars, they don't understand Krishna. Because that hard knot cannot be loosened just by scholarship. And those who are also very renounced, they also cannot loosen that hard knot simply by austerity. Therefore, those persons, they still maintain within their heart this hard knot even later. But one who's engaged in Krishna's service, he cuts the hard knot by the practice of Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga Daha, Bhagavad Bhakti Jnana, Sanghasya Jaya, Vijante Jaya Brahmi, Vijante Sarva Samshaya, Vijante Sarva Kamani, Yusta Eva Ishvare, finds the Bhagavatam, that by the performance of Bhakti Yoga, one realizes Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, the actual truth about the Supreme Lord, this spiritual science. Mukti Sanghasya Jayate, it brings one to the platform of liberation from the material nature. But the real bliss of this process, cutting of the hard knot within the heart, just slightly cutting it out, because you can't loosen it. It's not too complicated. It's not possible. It has been tightened like this for billions of years in the material world. How can, after all, a living entity who's been expertly just keeping these hard knots more and more tight in the heart for millions of lifetimes, how can he unloosen it in one little lifetime, or even any lifetime? It's not possible. Therefore, the process of bhakti cuts that rope, material bondage, which is kind of keeping us tight around the waist with that heart, not the heart. Chop. Chop that rope. Both sides. Then, no problem. No more knot. The knot will stay there only so long as one doesn't surrender to Krishna. When one surrenders to Krishna, through the bona fide spiritual master, that hard knot is chopped out. One who becomes absorbed in the pastimes of Radha Krishna and hears about Krishna's pastimes to the gopis, very quickly he becomes freed from all lusty desires in the heart. And he is freed from that desire. All lusty desires. Good. Being very much attached to Krishna. Because Krishna can free one from all lusty desires. Krishna is one who can cut all these desires in the heart. Because when one establishes relationship with Krishna, all the impure things cannot stand. Just like impure things cannot stay for long before the sun. Even you leave a very impure thing in the blazing sunshine, in due course of time it becomes purified. It will become cleansed of all its contamination. There are so many impure things on the surface of the globe, but because of the influence of the sun, they become purified in due course of time. Some quicker, some not. So, in the light of Krishna, in the presence of Krishna, contaminated things cannot remain. Because Krishna himself is Shuddham Apapadam, is pure and uncontaminable. And when we, the living entities, come in contact with that Krishna, when we, the living entities, become connected with that Krishna, who is pure, it is not that he becomes contaminated, we become purified. The sun is not contaminated when it purifies these impure substances. No. But they become purified. Similarly, Krishna is not contaminated when he associates with us. I know that's hard to believe since we're so contaminated. But it's not so. He does not become contaminated. He does not assume your pious or impious activities. Simply when we approach Krishna, we come a little closer by our service, by our love. And when we come a little closer to Krishna, then we become purified in His presence. He purifies us. That's what's so very nice about devotional service. Krishna purifies. Otherwise, what power do we have on our own to become purified? We may perform some penances, some austerity. That is not sufficient for freeing ourselves from the unlimited amount of reactions which we have from previous lives. You can't even imagine how entangled we are, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So much entangled. We're entangled because we just don't know how to get out of the mind. Like dogs who can't think of anything else than barking. Even if the dog wanted to try to talk, he wouldn't be able to figure out how to do it. Simply not in nature. Similarly, people in this material world, it's not their nature even to figure out how to free themselves from the material. Therefore, the spiritual master and Krishna bestow their mercy on the living entity and allow the living entity to perform devotional service. By the potency of devotional service, purification. Because devotional service brings one closer to Krishna. And the closer you get to Krishna, the more purified one becomes. Devotional service brings one to Krishna. It is up to us to stay in Krishna's association by continuing to perform devotional service and by always following the instructions of spiritual master. Then we will not only not be bound by the reactions of work, but we will actually be freed from all parts of this material nature. Go straight back home, back to God. So that is actually the point of all our activities. To get ourselves out of the material energy and situated in the spiritual energy. That's the point. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful to always be engaged that way. Always be engaged in devotional service. Always be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Then for sure we can become free from all of the entanglements in the material world. But if we are lazy or lax, then the material nature can capture us and can give us all kinds of troubles. Therefore, to avoid being captured by the material nature, one has to always be under the shelter of the spiritual nature. For the material nature cannot act within the spiritual energy. Therefore, if you are situated in Krishna's service, then the material nature cannot touch you. It has no business there, no realm, no power. Material energy cannot drag the conditioned soul from under the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. No. The only thing that can happen is that you, fool as you are, leave the shelter of Krishna's service and enter into the material world again. Then the material energy is just waiting. So, there you are. Come to me. And then we, fools as we are, immediately fall flat on our face before Maya, and then Maya proceeds to beat us bitterly. So the material world is no fun. Therefore, those who are engaged in actual spiritual development of knowledge know they have to get themselves out of this material nature, get back to the spiritual nature, and make a perfection of this human form of life. So we are requesting everybody to take up this purifying process of devotional service and go back home, back to God. It's a reasonable request. Are there any questions?
More about this reaction to this
Explain all kinds of things. What do you want to know?
You said reactions in this state of reach, seed. This is actually
Desire seeds in the heart.
Yeah, but how can you call them reactions? They have desire.
Because as soon as they're there, they're a part of the reaction process.
In the sense that they are reactions of something before, or in the sense
Their desire.
that they were
Reactions to your desire. Your desire creates a seed. I want this. Seed one. It's a reaction to your desire.
What is the watering of this seed? Desire?
What is the watering?
Yeah.
Of sinful desire?
After. And seed cannot.
What do you mean? You're not expert at making reactions?
No,
You're just
if seed is grown,
See, the watering process is just that you go on, continuing from the desire, thinking, feeling, willing, get to the point where you want to do it, then you actually do it. And at the point you actually do it, reaction born.
Is it that reaction actually doesn't mean necessarily something was effect of some action which we have already done?
Desire is an action. It's a very, very subtle action.
in this stage of how we don't get reactions simply for desires.
Yeah, that's all that you do. But since when do you have desires that you don't fulfill? Especially in the age of love.
If we, for example, coming from offenses in the mind, then we have nothing with the offenses.
No, but generally when you do that, the first opportunity to commit offense with the mouth, you do it. Not necessarily. If somebody's very strong, he can control himself. And when the mouth starts to just babble, he just holds it together. But that's good. Then there's no reaction. It doesn't create a reaction to think in the mind. But as soon as it does come out, then a reaction comes. But if you don't say, there's no reaction. So it's always better to keep mouth shut. In fact, some doctors did a study, and they found that expressing anger is worse than not expressing it. People used to think that if you have some anger, you just go, ah, and then it's over and then you're better. But no, it makes trouble in the body in all different spots. 11 different spots, we know, where the Rudra element stands. But now they've found that it's much better not to express the anger. Then it affects you less.
He gets more complicated reactions that come on.
When one becomes a new devotee, sometimes he may experience some reactions. But these are just little love taps to keep you going. And purification too. We've noticed that sometimes a lot of new devotees get infections or boils or things like that because the body is so impure from all these nasty habits that part of the purification is that it always manifests in these different ways. You may have noticed. Yes. But older devotees, they hardly ever get infection or these other things.
Does bad reaction necessarily mean something bad will happen on the physical level with the body, or is it just bonding in material world? Because
Well, it always gets you in the body somehow, right?
because we have also for good actions, which is not done in Krishna consciousness, we have good reactions. We don't want. So it means that it's not necessarily that the main point is not suffering on material level, on the bodily level, but staying in material world, like effect of such action. Because suffering is.
Try again.
I thought that what we get reactions on the bodily level, you feel some pain, this is not main point by reaction. More important is that one simply.
Wait a minute. Is this a question? Or is this a comment? Is your question, what does reaction manifest as? How does the reaction manifest?
Actually, it's not.
Commenting. You don't need comments. So, you want to ask, how does reaction manifest? So it's the actions manifest by giving you bodies. You suffer in different ways. Or enjoy. Continue with the advice. I will give you the commentary.
Sounds. I had quite some troubles speculating about it because I couldn't understand, for example, why should somebody simply maintain the body get some bad reactions? Why do you think we speak to?
While maintaining the body, you get bad reactions. You think that's no good?
I can understand why. Because.
So you think you're innocent? And by living in the material world? No, yes you do.
Okay.
You think you're innocent simply by living in the material world. You should not have to suffer. After all, you innocently came here in this material world, so if you're just being good and you don't hurt anybody else, why do you have to suffer?
Yes, just
like any good Christian. So first falsehood. It's not like you're innocent and therefore you come into the world. You're guilty, that's why you come into the world. The main guilt is you're a fool. You're a complete fool. You gave up Krishna. That's pretty guilty, isn't it? You said, I want to be the enjoyer. I'm the controller. Okay, here, going to the material world. As soon as you got here, you started making karma. Now you're suffering the karma. You're guilty. You're not innocent. No. Guilt. This is your jail sentence. And being that you're guilty like this, you're suffering. So, what's wrong with that? You think in jail you should not suffer? You think it should all be fun? Well, that's tough. It's not like that. I'm sure you didn't chant, but that's tough. When you say that's tough, that means too bad. Sorry. That's the way it goes. That's the way it is. You understand? No.
This is again, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can go on like this.
Because we need a fool every night in order to have You are always either blaming Krishna or accusing Krishna why he's arranged the material world so that you make reactions. And then you're accusing Krishna, then why, since he's gone and arranged the world so I have to make reactions, it's his fault that the reactions are there. Why are my fault? Why do I have to suffer? Because I fell into the trap. He made the trap that I had to fall into.
Yes, I cannot understand.
Because it's not that way. Krishna didn't make. It's not like Krishna's trapping every living entity in the spiritual sky. Then why they're still there and you're here? You think it was an accident? One day you just fell off the edge of the spiritual This is the problem. You think that you were out looking for fruit one day, and you didn't pay attention to where you're going, and all of a sudden, boom, you fell out of the thing, and there you are, falling into the material world. And what's happening? I just wanted to get a little... No, it's fine. It's not that way. You said, I don't like it anymore that Krishna is always doing. What about me? How do I do?
That's what I can see.
Right, so that makes you come to the material world. Because in this material world, this is the place where fools like you can live.
But now I cannot understand this question of independence for and
Because it was your choice.
Yeah, but if it does not make sense to me if you have independence to decide this or that way, but if you decide this way, then you're going to fall down and everything finished.
Who said finished? You're not going back to Godhead? What are you doing?
Yes, I'm going back.
What did you want? You wanted to fall, you wanted to be a rascal and a fool and go back to the spiritual world. So then if the spiritual world was filled with rascals and fools, what would be spiritual about it? Exactly. That's what I just said. So, this is what you want? You want to be a rascal and fool and reject Krishna. And then when you fall, you don't want to fall. You want to go right back to the spiritual world.
I just want to...
No! That's what you want. It's either the spiritual world or something else, right? Or in your concocted spiritual world, all rascals and fools like you shall also be there. So what is it? When you then declare yourself you want to be God and enjoy. So shall you stay in the spiritual world? Or shall you go to some other spiritual world? Or shall you go somewhere else? What's your answer?
No, I just thought...
I just want an answer.
I will just...
I want an answer!
There is no Bible.
Look, I'm asking you, what do you want? You want that when you're a fool and rascal, you shall come back to the same spiritual world?
No, nothing
Well, how about another spiritual world?
Okay.
Then you go somewhere else. Yes or no? Yes. So this is it. Oh, you don't like it? Then, chant Hare Krishna. Go back to Godhead. And give up your enviousness. So now what's the problem?
The problem is that I don't want to do it just because by being forced to do it.
Who's forcing you?
While having troubles or this threefold or something.
So you want a place where there's no misery.
Yes.
But you had that place. And you said, I don't want it. You were already there. You didn't like that either.
Yes, but it sounds to me like if you're here, it's good. If you give up this place, then you're gonna suffer. But then I cannot see this is main point. I'm sorry. There is no independence otherwise. What is the independence if you say, okay, be with me, it's gonna be good. If you go out, or because Krishna is also creator of material world. And in general, all
So
these
you think he should have created the material world without suffering?
that at least somebody has such facility and he stays here.
And he doesn't suffer.
Yes.
But that's the
Actually
spiritual
suffers.
world. No suffering. It's Vaikuntha. He's simply a dedicated rascal. A dedicated rascal can never be convinced by any amount of logic or words. Although everybody else here understands. It's such a simple point. But because you're a dedicated rascal, called dog stubborn. You know dog stubborn? It's like you have a dog. And you want the dog to come with you. So you pull on the leash. But the dog is not going to move. No way. And you're pulling and pulling, and the dog's just not moving. Then the master has to drag the dog. The dog's just staying there, and it has to drag the dog stubborn. And you ask him, why don't you move, dog? No. Similarly, the dog stubborn. I just don't like it. I'm being forced. If I don't surrender to Krishna, I'm going to suffer in the material world. I don't like that. This means you're a nonsense. You don't want to surrender to Krishna. So you're using this as an excuse. And you have enough knowledge that you know that you're going to suffer if you don't surrender. So you don't like that. Because you know you don't want to surrender. And you want to enjoy, but you can't enjoy in the material world. You think that stinks. So that means you're a rascal. A more elevated rascal. A very sophisticated rascal. But definitely a rascal. Who here thinks he's a rascal? Raise your hand. Who here thinks he's not a rascal? Raise your hand. It seems like we have elected you a rascal. Through democratic process, we are all convinced. Now, you have to accept the fact that you're a rascal. And understand that you've got to give up this desire to be the enjoyer in the material world. And he thinks it's cruel of Krishna to force us to go back to Godhead. He thinks if Krishna had any love for us, he'd let us live here without suffering in the material world, separated from him. Now he's already telling Krishna what. Such a professional rascal. I can imagine Manohar standing there in the temple room saying, now Krishna, if I was going to arrange this material world, I'd make it in such a way that there wouldn't be any suffering. then Krishna answers Manohar, yes, my dear Manohar, you may stay in the material world and arrange it however you like. Surrender. Getting dangerously close to surrendering. It's getting hot. Can you imagine what happens when you actually surrender?
Which knowledge said from Prabhupada books, you now practice of Bhakti Yoga? Which knowledge?
Everything's in Prabhupada's books. You don't need anything else. What do you think you need?
Some materialistic knowledge.
Some what?
Materialistic knowledge.
Like what?
Agriculture.
What do you need that to go back to Godhead?
Some service.
That you can learn also. No, you can learn it anywhere. Materialistic thing.
Qualified. Materialistic science.
If you've got the right materialistic science, yes.
How I know?
Material world is relative, you never know. So you have to take the advice of those who might know. It's all relative, you don't get any absolute knowledge. That's how merciful Krishna is. He arranges this material world in such a perfect way so that you've got to go back to God. Because that's where you belong and that's where you'll be happy. Just like the police arrange the parking areas in such a way that if you don't put your car in the right spot so everybody can enjoy the streets nicely, they give you a ticket. So that teaches you to go in the right place, where everybody will be more happy. Yes?
Da li će dobiti od toga reakciju i kako šta se dešava? Zbog čega se to desilo? Ja sam nešto sam pravi. Kako to reagiraju?
Accidentally? Oh, it wasn't on purpose? No. Accident is accident.
This would be a special moment of passion.
Then some reaction will be there. Not big reaction, some reaction. If you are spaced out and you do something irresponsibly, you also make reaction. One must be responsible in his actions. Yes, definitely. Reactions on all levels come. These beings who love to give trouble to everybody, they do it as reaction to our activities. So many troubles in the mind comes as reaction. Sometimes much worse than physical reactions too even. Some people are suffering so much. Anybody's getting late. We have to arrange a stretcher for Manawar. Stretcher, you know, the ambulance men, they bring He was assaulted most bitterly by me, being beaten with the club left hand. So now we have to put his poor the oxygen mask. Last question. Nobody else raised their hand. Yes.
Why exists fear of surrendering?
Because you think that if I surrender, then I lose my sense gratification.
We got experience that this surrender to Krishna is a good and he feel wrong.
Because your body is the one that's spirit. Body and mind. Body and mind knows. Well, you surrender to Krishna. What happens to us? We eat mudli every day. The body and mind start complaining. They think, oh no more sense gratification. How can you do this to us? Therefore, they make you think, no, I don't want to surrender. It's a fight, it's a battle. Everybody's battling in his own self. Battling with the material nature, battling with the body, battling with the mind, battling with mental speculation. Oh, the worst of all. No more battle. Surrender to yourself. Okay.
Harikesa Swami Vishnu Pad Ki